Hello, what's going on everybody? Welcome back to another tier ranking video. We've done so many regions across the world already. Europe, Asia, South America, Africa. And now we're on to the CONCACAF countries that are still in the race for the World Cup. We're only going to be taking a look at 6 countries today. As in the CONCACAF World Cup qualifier race, there are 8 teams left. However, Jamaica and Honduras have no chance qualifying for the World Cup this year anymore. El Salvador's chances are also pretty slim, but things could still magically go their way and they still could qualify for the Intercontinental Playoffs. So max 4th place, nothing higher. But yeah, if you're new to this series, we just go on the Tier Maker website and analyze how far each of these teams can potentially go. Obviously, we still don't know the groups yet. We don't even know which of these teams will make it to the World Cup. It's just a little preview and some hype surrounding each of the teams. These matchups are coming up very soon though, so I figured to get this tier maker list out of the way. Lots of coverage we gotta do this month for all of the World Cup qualifiers. As always, let me know your thoughts on this list in the comments below where you'd place all these teams. Let's get straight into it, starting off already very big with Canada. This side is in first in the World Cup qualifiers right now. They have been absolutely bossing it, and I think they are possibly the kings of CONCACAF right now. They're also the only team to not get any losses in this 3rd round of the World Cup qualifiers for CONCACAF. John Herdman is doing a fantastic job with the national team. It's the best Canada side we've seen in a very, very long time. The last time Canada qualified for the World Cup is in 1986, and they look like they're definitely en route to qualifying this time. They at least secured that playoff spot, so the hype for this side is real. Obviously, we haven't seen them play much of other teams around the world, but they still look very promising, and a lot of neutral fans will be keeping their eyes on this side. The 2 players talked about a lot on the Canadian national team are Alphonso Davies and Jonathan David, as they both play for top clubs in Europe, but there are still a lot of underrated players in this squad. Up top, along with Jonathan David, you've got Kyle Larin, who's looking fantastic for the Canadian national team. He's currently the top goal scorer in the World Cup qualifiers for CONCACAF. You've also got Milan Borjan, serving as Zvezda's goalkeeper. I don't think this guy's talked about enough. He's fantastic. Tejan Buchanan, who just signed for Club Brugge, very much a versatile and dangerous player. But we can't forget about the main man, Stefan Eustáquio. Many people are talking about how he's Canada's top contributor in these World Cup qualifiers right now. Look, there are so many more players on the Canada national team we could praise. That's just a few. And I'll say it right now, I think Canada has the best potential getting the furthest in this World Cup. How far? I don't know. Obviously, it depends on their group and who they get in the knockouts if they make it to the knockouts. I don't know how well Canada could handle a top European side, for example, right now. Still very much a big test for them, but let's say their round of 16 draw is doable and not a side like Germany or England. I think they have potential to make it all the way to the quarterfinals. I know that might be a bit generous. I feel like round of 16s might be more realistic. But just based on the way Canada are playing right now, it's just absolutely the best football we've seen from them in a very long time. Even with all that, quarterfinals might be a bit too much, I know. But this side is building a lot of momentum, and even though they'll probably look like underdogs in their round of 16 matchup, it's still a side you cannot rule off whatsoever. It could be a generous spot, I know. Obviously, once we see where all the teams are placed in each group and who gets who in the round of 16s, this can totally change. But I'm going to be nice to Canada. I think they deserve the praise. Let's move on now to Costa Rica. As we know, Costa Rica defied all odds in the 2014 World Cup. They made it all the way to the quarterfinals, and they were in a very, very tough group with England, Italia, and Uruguay. All those teams are expected to beat Costa Rica, and they miraculously got first. Then they beat Greece in the round of 16s, and then they lost to Netherlands in the quarterfinals. But we gotta keep in mind, they lost on penalties. A top side like Netherlands nearly blew it to this country. Absolutely incredible story from Costa Rica in 2014. Unfortunately, in 2018, they didn't have that much of a success story, crashing out of the group stage in 4th place. And obviously, the last international break, everything can be turned around. But right now, they're not in the most comfortable position in the World Cup qualifiers. They're in 5th, and this position would not give you a World Cup entry at all. They are only 1 point behind Panama, so absolutely nothing is over for them. Obviously, when people think about Costa Rica, the first player that comes to mind is their goalkeeper, Keylor Navas, who's been terrific. They still have a lot of players that are not talked about enough. Look, after Costa Rica's 2014 World Cup performance, that was just an absolute miracle. Can they do something like that again? I don't think so. I'm sorry. I don't want to absolutely rule off this side, though. Just a reminder, this isn't a prediction. It's just how far I think this team can potentially go. I'm going to be a bit nice to Costa Rica, say they can possibly make it out of the group stage. Round of 16s, I think, is a decent place to put them. Prove me wrong, Costa Rica. Have another fantastic run like in Brazil. Although it was very, very long ago, we've seen what this side is capable of. Good luck to Costa Rica. Next up, El Salvador. Now, as I've stated, El Salvador are very much not in a good place right now in the World Cup qualifiers. They could turn things around at the end. It's going to be a very difficult task. The only times we've seen this side in the World Cup was in 1970 and 1982. And both times they crashed out of the group stage. I'm sorry, El Salvador. If you manage to make it to Qatar this year, prove me wrong, but I don't think you're going to break history. I'm putting you at the group stage. Best of luck, though. Next up, Mexico. This side is a bit cursed. Since 1994, they've always qualified for the World Cup, but every single time, the furthest they made it was the round of 16. Can Mexico break history and go even further in this World Cup? To be brutally honest, I think they looked more promising in previous years. They obviously have amazing players playing in top leagues. Lozano on Napoli, Jimenez on Wolverhampton, Diego Lainez on Real Betis, Hector Herrera on Atletico Madrid, Ochoa, who has a great history at the World Cup, Guardado, Corona. I could go on, but we've seen this side lose to their rivals, the United States, decent amount of times recently. They do play again though later this month in the next international break, so they could obviously seek revenge. Mexico always show a lot of heart. They've always been a very exciting side to watch in the World Cup, and I'll never forget how disappointed I was in the 2014 World Cup when they beat Croatia, but they fully deserved the win. Croatia did not play well. Even though Mexico have a lot of top players right now, it just doesn't seem like a year where we could see them break history and make it past the round of 16s. I personally think round of 16s is going to be the outcome for them yet again. They always put off terrific fights and have a lot of historical games that always go down to everyone's memory. And I think it will happen yet again in Qatar. Next up, Panama. Panama made their debut in the World Cup in 2018, and unfortunately they crashed out of the group stage. They were in a very difficult group though. Currently in the World Cup qualifiers, they're in a decent position. This side also took the United States spot in the World Cup 2018. I think Panama will definitely have the ability to put up very good fights against teams if they qualify for the World Cup, but I think it's going to be similar to 2018. It's just going to be too difficult for them against teams from all over the world. I'm putting them at the group stage. Very much a side no team should underestimate, but I do see them struggling against teams from all over the world. Now, the final team we're looking at, the United States of America. Obviously, a very, very exciting side with a lot of upcoming talent. Christian Pulisic or Pulisic. McKennie, who's unfortunately missing the last international break. That's going to be a huge loss. I think he's one of their best players. Serginho Dest on Barcelona, Weah, Ricardo Pepi. They've also got a lot of decent keepers to choose from. The problem with the U.S. national team, though, is their manager, Greg Berhalter. Lots of fingers are being pointed at him whenever the United States do slip in their matches, as it just doesn't seem like he really has an organized plan. Also, he's throwing in a lot of MLS talent, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but there's still lots of other U.S. talent that play all over the world. It's the complete contrast to the Canadian national team. John Herman's making his team look like an absolute unit, while Greg Berhalter makes his team look like they rely a little bit too much on moments, not consistent enough. Obviously, we got to give this guy some credit, as the U.S. national team has still been very successful, winning the CONCACAF Gold Cup, winning the Nations League as well. The United States definitely have a bright future ahead of them, and I think they could possibly cause a lot of damage. Not in this World Cup, though, in particular. I think in the future, though, potentially the one after this, where it's played in the USA, Canada, and Mexico. Not only are they playing at home, in 4 years' time, I think all their players will become a lot more skillful and just more experienced in general. Now, obviously, depending on their group, it can go many ways. I think the US will definitely have some positive moments regardless if they make it to the World Cup, and I think they can potentially get out of the group stage. How far after that, though? I'm going to say round of 16. I would put them in the quarterfinals along with Canada. Looking at their squad, they look like a side that has potential to go decently far, but they just look a little bit disorganized right now. Not as much of a unit like Canada is. I hate to compare them to Canada, but Canada's just absolutely killing it right now. Obviously, Greg Berhalter could potentially leave as well by this time, but as of now, I'm assuming he's going to stay, and I don't think they could go so far with him still having the job. Obviously, I do live in the USA, so I do hope they prove me wrong and go further, but round of 16 seems the most realistic and hopeful option for me. That's my list, everybody. Like I said, let me know yours in the comments below. Lots of videos coming up in the future related to all these World Cup qualifiers, so subscribe if you haven't already. Like this video if you enjoyed. I'll see you all very, very soon. Take care. La con noche.